In Washington today, friends and family applauded a missionary with a message, the Reverend Benjamin Weir, free after 16 months as a hostage in Lebanon. That jubilation was in dramatic contrast to scenes of death and despair from Mexico, where a huge, major earthquake was felt as far away as Texas and left at least 250 people confirmed dead, with that toll likely to rise. Good evening, this is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. No one can know just how many people died today when that monster earthquake ripped through at least 3 Mexican states. The president of Mexico says there appear to be many dead. Thousands, one late report says, possibly as many as 20,000, were injured in the world's second largest city, second only to Shanghai, Mexico City, where 3 hospitals treating quake victims reportedly were evacuated because of structural damage. Our earthquake coverage begins with Terry Drinkwater from Los Angeles.
There was one hard jolt and then the ground began to roll. That is the way one man who survived described the quake. It hit at 8:18 as millions of Mexicans were on their way to work. Hundreds of buildings collapsed. Several tourist hotels, here the St. Regis, were badly damaged. And from the rubble everywhere, moans and cries of the trapped. The devastation was so widespread and communication so bad that only tonight did it become clear that this is a very major disaster, perhaps the worst in Mexico's history. The center of the quake was in the Pacific, 50 miles off the coast from the country's biggest resort, Acapulco. But the shaking was felt as far away as Texas. Most of the casualties were in this central part of Mexico. 18 million people live in Mexico City alone. This apartment was relatively undamaged, but next door, another, which has 12 stories, fell in to the ground, one floor on top of the next. There were 1,300 residents. This woman survived, but her children were buried. All day, communication north to the United States was spotty. Finally, there were shortwave radio accounts confirming the worst.
It's the taller buildings that are more affected. Some of them, a few have completely collapsed. The concrete slabs look like a club sandwich.
It took 4 hours to rescue some. This woman shopping in a pharmacy when the walls around her caved in. Mexico's president, Miguel de la Madrid, came out into the streets to read his proclamation declaring a national state of emergency. Nearby, the monument to the revolution still stood. But down the Reforma in the Zona Rosa, the area most popular with American visitors, scores of historic buildings were gone. Disaster officials were overwhelmed. There are gas leaks and fires still ablaze in several cities tonight. Mexico's main TV tower collapsed, and underground in the subway, the loss of life is feared heavy. Tonight, it is what is not known that most worries Mexican officials. There are towns known to have been struck by the killer quake, but the outside world has heard little of how many or how few survived. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, Los Angeles.
CBS newsman George Nathanson was in Mexico City today when the quake hit. He has just arrived in Harlingen, Texas, and we spoke to him a few moments ago.
The main part of town that was hit was more or less what is known as Midtown Mexico, and a lot of these were apartment houses, and they crumbled and really pancaked is the word to use, because the tops just came down and settled on the ground. And how many bodies might be buried under this tons and upon tons of rubble, who knows? It's a terrible scene, Dan, and Mexico has been hit with just the force of a mighty blow from hell. That's the best way I can put it.
And how did the earthquake itself feel and sound?
It was, there was a strange sound, though, like the low roll of thunder from a distance, and then it comes up into a tremendous crescendo, like thunder booming in a tropical storm. That is the most frightening thing, too, along with the movement that you feel because you feel so helpless. In any event, the next part of this all came after the earthquake is over, which seems like could be a century, but of course it's probably less than a minute, trying to get through on the telephone. The telephone lines were down, but in addition, all of the lights went out. And then further, and this still is a danger in Mexico City, are the gas leaks, which are prevalent throughout the city altogether.
Veteran CBS newsman George Nathanson and his eyewitness report. Fresh from his almost 500-day captivity by Islamic kidnappers in Lebanon, the Reverend Benjamin Weir today made his first public appearance on home soil, and with 6 other Americans still held in Lebanon, there was both hope and fear. Hope in his personal message of faith, fear in the message he delivered from the captors of the remaining 6. Susan Spencer reports.
Reverend Benjamin Weir, with a new beard and new freedom, said he didn't know why he was kidnapped nor why he was freed, except to deliver a critical message to President Reagan.
They have one demand, namely the release of 17 prisoners being held in Kuwait. They are ready to release the 6 hostages in exchange for the 17 prisoners.
Reverend Weir urged the U.S. government to act. Otherwise,
though they do not want to harm anyone, they will go so far as to proceed to execute their hostages if their demand is not met.
the Reverend said he takes that threat seriously and revealed that he knows for a fact that 4 of the 6 remaining hostages are safe.
I have from time to time met 4 of the other hostages, and in recent months been allowed to talk with them, even to worship with them on occasion, and they are all well.
But about hostages Kilbourne and Buckley, Reverend Weir said sadly, he knew nothing. He talked about his own capture.
As I was forced down onto the floor and the car sped along, I said to myself, this is a new experience.
He said later he was moved a lot, 8 times, always, he thought, in Beirut.
I was held in solitary confinement. I found myself thrown back upon my own inner resources in a way I had not experienced before.
We must land at Beirut.
At the time, though he was in the same city, the Beirut hostage crisis was unknown to him, Reverend Weir said. Mysteriously, after it ended, he was allowed more freedom, even newspapers.
I often said to myself, it's just like Christmas came July 2nd.
Overall, he said his captors had treated him with respect. He would not further characterize them, saying they had forbidden it. His wife characterized the day, though. It was one of Thanksgiving.
And I am first of all thankful to God that my husband is released.
The Weirs aren't certain of their immediate plans. One daughter said, "My father's all revved up now and feels the mission to spread the word on the demands and make sure that the 6 who did not come home are not forgotten." Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
In a moment, the personal and public policy dilemma about the remaining 6 hostages and a special interview later in the broadcast, which includes some recollections of captivity from the Reverend Weir.
What makes Carnival Cruise Line the most popular cruise line in the world?
In the morning, in the evening, ain't we got fun? Not much money, oh, but honey, ain't we got fun? The food is great here, there's never a bill. We'll stay up late, dear, let's not miss a thrill. Sunny weather, all together, we've got the fun.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
That chili you had for dinner has just started a 3-alarm fire inside you. Alka-Seltzer to the rescue. Alka-Seltzer goes to work instantly to take the burn out of your heartburn and also quiet the sirens in your head. So when your body is sending you smoke signals, send Alka-Seltzer to the rescue and put out the fire fast.
Alka-Seltzer to the rescue.
For all the happiness and hope in the appearance of the Reverend Benjamin Weir today, there was also a new note of terror for the families of the remaining 6 hostages and a new dilemma for President Reagan, the demand of the kidnappers to free some of their jailed comrades in Kuwait or else. Bob Schieffer and Bill Plant report the personal concerns of the families and the public policy concerns of the White House.
Weir brought back letters from 4 of the 6 Americans who are still being held prisoner, and for the families of those 4, Terry Anderson's brother and sister said it all.
It wasn't just the letter, it was the fact that Reverend Weir saw Terry with his own eyes, and that's all we wanted to hear. That's all we wanted to hear. It's charged our batteries, so watch out, guys.
I know that my brother's alive and well, and that I have looked desperately for that answer for 6 months now.
In Joliet, Illinois, Father Lawrence Jenko's niece read part of the letter that Jenko sent back.
Do everything possible for not only our release, but theirs also. We so desperately want to go home.
In addition to Anderson, who was kidnapped in March, and Jenko, who was kidnapped in January, Weir brought back letters from David Jacobson, kidnapped in May, and Thomas Sutherland, kidnapped in June. He brought no word on the fate of William Buckley, the U.S. Embassy official, and Peter Kilburn, the American University librarian, both of whom were kidnapped last year. In Aptos, California, Kilburn's nephew said the family was just trying to put its emotions on hold.
I know that with all the killing and destruction that's going on in that country, that it certainly is not beyond their means to kill a few Americans.
Even for the families who got good news today, there seemed to be a growing feeling that more should be done by the administration.
I don't feel that the avenues have all been challenged. I don't think all the doors have been opened yet.
Even so, for the first time in a long time, there was some good news for some of the families today, and some reason for new hope.
One shoe to drop. We got 6 to go.
Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York.
The Reagan administration says it's willing to negotiate the release of the 6 remaining American hostages, but firmly rejected any deal to exchange them for 17 convicted prisoners in Kuwait.
This administration will not pressure other governments to make concessions to those holding hostages.
The prisoners held in Kuwait were convicted of a series of bombings there, including an attack on the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. regards them as lawfully imprisoned criminals, unlike the Lebanese Shiites detained by Israel, whose release was demanded by the TWA hijackers. But Reverend Weir believes that his release may signal a last chance for freedom for the remaining Americans.
I believe a new window of opportunity has been opened, at least a crack. I fear that opportunity may not last long. I urge that new efforts be made and that new and creative options be explored.
President Reagan responded to criticism from the hostage families that he isn't doing enough.
Well, unfortunately, we can't tell even the families all the things that we are doing, so we just have to take that criticism, but it is not justified.
In fact, some officials fear the moment of opportunity may have come and gone. Contacts continue with intermediaries, including Iran, in an effort to get the 6th released. But right now, said one official, there's no reason to be optimistic. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
It was handshakes for the cameras all around in Geneva today as U.S. and Soviet negotiators resumed arms control talks and to set the tone for the Reagan-Gorbachev summit 2 months away. But some of the latest arms control thinking was being leaked today in Washington, where a senior Reagan administration official told White House correspondent Bill Plant that both the United States and the Soviet Union think the 1972 anti-ballistic missile system treaty may need to be scrapped because it's outdated. The Russians believing it could be violated by U.S. Star Wars defense research, the United States believing the Russians may violate it with their own space defense research. The Senate tonight passed a sweeping overhaul of this nation's immigration laws, a bill that would, among other things, for the first time, punish employers who knowingly hire illegal aliens, give amnesty to other aliens already living in the United States, and allow 350,000 temporary foreign workers in to harvest perishable crops in a 3-year experiment. House passage of this much-debated, much-amended bill is by no means certain.
It doesn't take a lot of huffing and puffing to get an Allstate Shape Up and Save discount.
There's one perfect for us mature types.
With Allstate's 55 and retired discounts, you could save 10% on home insurance and save on car insurance. If you're 55.
Which is easy as 54, but takes a year long.
And if you're retired.
Which means you don't work. I'll demonstrate.
Shape up and save.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
It's an ugly word, but when you suffer, it's ugly too. So you'll be relieved to know what more doctors would recommend to stop the suffering. No, not that one. More doctors recommend Anusol than all other brands of hemorrhoid medicine combined. That's right, Anusol. Words can't kill, but they can hurt. What a relief it is to know there's a word that can stop the hurt. With more doctors, the word is Anusol. From Park Davis.
Now free, now safe, now home. I spoke today with the Reverend Benjamin Weir and with Mrs. Weir. He told of the links to his faith that saw him through his ordeal, and he revealed that much of the time his captors kept him literally in heavy chains.
They were hardened steel chains that were padlocked, a chain padlocked to a radiator and padlocked usually around my left ankle, though sometimes it would be around my left wrist, or in some occasions on a right wrist, or even sometimes when I had both a leg and an ankle padlocked. I came early to regard the chain perhaps as something I could see something worthwhile in, and I called it my Protestant rosary. And before day was finished, I would count on my rosary things that I thought were blessings for me that day. That helped too.
Can you give me an example of recounting the things as you went down the links in the chain?
Oh, yes. Health, food, and I would enumerate the food that I had eaten that day. Maybe that day there had been a piece of fruit, and that was something exceptional that I was glad for. Perhaps that had been a day when I had been permitted to have a shower, and that was something very good and worthwhile.
What was your scariest moment, Pastor?
Well, it's hard to single one out. Once was when a guard put a pistol to me and said he didn't ever want me to take my blindfold off.
Mrs. Weir, this had to be an excruciating time for you. What was the worst of it?
I was becoming very, very discouraged that it was going on and on and on. And I really didn't see efforts being made for his release that I thought needed to be made.
Did you personally have a strong and continuing line of communication with our government?
We had to develop that line of communication. We were never invited to come to Washington. I was never able to see the president. His staff wrote and said he didn't have time. We, however, did develop some communication with the administration, and we have tried to keep that open and asked for appointments periodically.
Did you have a sense, Reverend? I would think you must have had a sense some of the time. Why me, O Lord? Oh, why me?
I certainly turned that question over in my mind. Why was I the one that was taken? I really didn't know the answer, and I realized I didn't know the answer. But it occurred to me that even though I was not aware of what was involved, perhaps God had a sense of purpose in this, and not that he had brought it about, but that he had permitted it to happen, and that perhaps I was expected to learn something through this experience.
Here's an important question for Metamucil users. Why should you have to drink this when you can get the same laxative fiber in this good-tasting wafer? Introducing new Fiberall wafers. Fiberall wafers are good-tasting, easy to take, and clinically proven every bit as effective for regularity. So which would you choose? This or this tasty Fiberall wafer? New Fiberall wafers. Effective, good-tasting, easy to take.
Remember last month's high air conditioning bill? Well, here comes another one. Fight back with the attic blanket from Owens Corning. It's the most powerful roll of thermal protection you can buy. Before air conditioning bills put you in the red, get the attic blanket and put your house in the pink. Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the pink.
The U.S. government today said Americans spent money faster in August while registering only a modest increase in income. The Commerce Department said all that buying was financed by dropping personal savings to a record low. The report said personal spending jumped 1.2% last month, 3 times the rate in July, but personal income rose just 0.3%. The personal savings rate dropping to 2.8% in August, the lowest since the government began keeping such figures in 1959. It's only rock and roll, but a lot of people don't like it. Phil Jones reports on a congressional hearing today devoted to whether too much rock and roll is turning into rock and raunch and what should be done about it.
It is believed to be the biggest media event in the history of congressional hearings. No, not on the budget or deficit, but on raunchy lyrics in rock music.
The title song includes words like, your hands are tied, your legs are strapped, you're going under the blade.
Rock lyrics have turned from I can't get no satisfaction to I'm going to force you at gunpoint to eat me alive.
It was those two prominent political spouses, Treasury Secretary James Baker and Senator Albert Gore's wives, who started this public campaign to get record companies to label their products.
This issue is too hot not to cool down?
Right. And Senator Hawkins, who is up for re-election next year, isn't even on the committee, and she asked to testify. It was hard to believe. There were distinguished public officials listening to an appeal from Twisted Sister.
Only sadomasochism, bondage, and rape in this song is in the mind of Ms. Gore.
No legislation is before Congress, but still, one senator was warning that things may change.
Unless the free enterprise system, both the producers and you as the performers see fit to clean up your act.
Or, as the rock lyrics say, Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Mitterrand of France today ordered a shakeup in his country's Secret Service, the latest fallout following the implication of the French Secret Service in the bombing of the Greenpeace environmental group's flagship in New Zealand.
Some of you are being asked to choose a long-distance phone company. If you don't choose, someone's going to choose for you, and you know how that can make you feel. So if AT&T's clear long-distance connections and full services are important to you, send in your ballot. AT&T Long Distance, for over 100 years. When you reached out, we were there. And you can keep it that way by making the choice yourself.
Shrimp and lobster sauce! Shrimp and lobster sauce! And roast pork lo mein! Roast pork lo mein!
Ever since Benihana introduced their frozen oriental entrees, people have been saying 8 is not enough. So we've introduced 4 more. Shrimp and lobster sauce, Szechuan beef, roast pork lo mein, roast pork with Chinese vegetables. Benihana's taken your favorite oriental restaurant food and put it where it belongs, at home.
More mayo!
Benihana. We either make them great or we don't make them at all.
City feet, country feet, fleet feet, neat feet.
No matter how you treat your feet, Dr. Scholl's makes you feel like dancing with double comfort air pillow insoles, hidden comfort half insoles for high heel shoes, workday insoles for hard working feet, scented Price Step insoles.
Tired feet, active feet.
Dr. Scholl's has all kinds of comfort for all kinds of feet, right here.
Dr. Scholl's makes you feel like dancing.
What could be new big trouble with the law for John DeLorean? Justice Department sources tonight tell reporter Reed Braver that DeLorean is expected to be indicted in Detroit tomorrow. Charges, they say, tax violations and allegedly defrauding investors in his now defunct car company. DeLorean had no immediate comment. Federal health officials today said as many as 1 million Americans may have been infected by the deadly AIDS virus, and the report said that more than 12,000 of them may actually develop AIDS next year. Officials also reported an apparent link between prostitution and AIDS, saying that could help explain the spread of the disease to heterosexual men and their wives. And in Hollywood, which is putting together a benefit to fight AIDS, David Browning reports blood tests may be supplementing screen tests.
Tonight's benefit will be the sort of thing Hollywood has always done well, glitter and glamour for a good cause, AIDS research. All the more ironic because Hollywood, too, finds itself swept up in fear and uncertainty over AIDS. There are stories making the rounds of the studios of actresses demanding blood tests before they'll work with certain actors. And there is apprehension over doing love scenes with actors who might be gay.
There's no proof per se right now that the disease is spread through kissing, but then again there's no proof conclusively that it's not spread that way. So I think people are concerned.
It puts some, like actress Morgan Fairchild, in a peculiar spot. She is active in raising money to fight AIDS and fight discrimination against gays. And she is well aware there are no known cases of AIDS being spread through saliva. And yet,
you know, there aren't too many professions in the world that require you to kiss anyone except our profession. So, since I don't have a great history of playing nuns, this sort of leaves me in a predicament.
Cure. On the set of The Young and the Restless, a doctor was brought in between tapings to explain facts and fallacies about AIDS.
I would say there'll be less passion shown in some cases. Closed-mouth kissing. I think there will be more nuzzling than actual kissing than there used to be.
All of which troubles some gay performers who fear that hysteria over AIDS is making a bad situation worse.
If you've got the keys to that door, I will.
For the truth is, despite positive portrayals of gays, the movie Kiss of the Spider Woman is a current example, some gay actors still feel they must hide it or they won't work. This man is a veteran of small movie and television parts, playing cops, macho men, fathers. Not a name, but a face you might recognize. He's gay.
That people come in and say, I know I had the role, and at the last minute I was told later, well, he's a little light. That's usually the phrase, a little light. It's all rooted in fear of your job.
It's become such an issue, complicated by the AIDS scare, that the guild which represents movie performers is taking its concerns to Hollywood producers.
Our concern is that fear, real or imagined, may be resulting in discrimination against gay performers.
It would be nice to see some compassion as well as a little knowledge coming into the way people are dealing with the disease.
Rock Hudson, whose illness brought the whole Hollywood AIDS issue out of the shadows, is sending a message to tonight's benefit. He says, I am not happy that I have AIDS, but if that is helping others, I can at least know that my own misfortune has had some positive worth. David Browning, CBS News, Hollywood.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting from New York. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
When you set out to create the perfect home, start with the windows. The windows more people come home to than any other. Anderson Windows. Far more energy efficient than ordinary windows. Engineered for a life of easy openings, easy closings. Finished with a beauty that will endure for generations. Anderson windows and patio doors are built to last, like the homes they're built into.
Come home to quality, come home to Anderson.
When a road is slippery, braking your car can cause skidding or worse. Now, Tevis, an ITT company, has an anti-lock brake system to help keep your car under control. A built-in computer senses the road and brakes the wheels without locking. This ITT Tevis system is available on some American cars now, and none too soon.
Don't believe everything you hear about fiber laxatives. The truth is, only one brand is recommended by doctors more than any other. Only one offers you the sugar-free choice of NutraSweet. Only one offers all these flavors and forms. It's the one you've trusted for over 50 years. Metamucil. Original and sugar-free, with 4 times more soluble fiber than even Pure Bran, to help you maintain regularity. For the fiber you need every day, there's only one. Metamucil.
We'll have the latest on the earthquake in Mexico and a live interview with the Reverend Benjamin Weir and his family tomorrow on the CBS Morning News.
This is CBS.